Hello, hi y'all. It is Tuesday, Tears Day. Tyr is the Mars equivalent in Nordic mythology. Tuesday, the 8th. It is a white resonant wizard guided by death according to the galactic calendar going over dream spell. It is a third eye day, Ajna chakra day. So do the mantras Om, in this case, do the mudras, and in this case it would be, well, like that, I think. But look them up just to double check. And yeah, the note is A. The color, I believe, is indigo. But this is about intuition and seeing clearly your third eye, right? The traditional kind of spiritual center, so to speak. The sun is in Sagittarius. The moon is at 24 degrees Virgo. Mercury is in Sag. Venus is in Scorpio. Mars is in Aries. Jupiter and Saturn are in Capricorn, closer getting to the grand conjunction. Uranus is in retrograde in Taurus. Neptune's in Pisces. Pluto is in Capricorn. The North Node is in Gemini. So let's go ahead and pull some cards on this Tuesday. Hopefully, all are doing well. Wherever you're watching from. I just was made aware of this fact by my fiance, so shout out Haley. But there's a huge coronal mass ejection coming our way, like the biggest I've ever seen, solar flare kind of thing. So we may or may not have electricity tomorrow. It should cause a great deal of effect. Check out Haley's Facebook page to see more details on it. But it's rather a big deal, actually. So we'll be getting upgrades, maybe feeling sick, maybe earthquakes, that kind of stuff. We've got the Princess of Pentacles, which is a very Virgoan card, Virgo moon. And look, there's even coronal mass ejections, it looks like, up there because it's an eclipse, so it's showing the sun kind of doing its thing. So the Princess of, we've gotten two princesses yesterday and today. The princess is essentially the page energy, right? So the Princess of Pentacles, here, let me do this proper. The Princess of Pentacles is the airy, the intellectual, fun, playful part of Earth. The grounded, our bodies, our nature, material things. So this says, be observant and resourceful, look to the little details, enjoy collaboration. Princess of Pentacles, I value all of life. Just open this up a little better. I value all of life. A powerful synthesis of both the imaginative and practical, the discerning and hugely resourceful, Princess of Pentacles is acutely aware of the responsibilities we share as custodians of this remarkable planet. Deeply committed to the principles of ecology and evolutionary biology, she wants to live as consciously as possible, innovating solutions to sustain and restore the Earth's living ecosystems. The bare trees represent the devastating ways we are still poisoning the Earth. The princess stands inside an old nuclear cooling tower, alluding to the controversy surrounding nuclear power. A beanstalk offers a way out. The sun at the summit reminds us that change is afoot. Solar energy and wind power have superseded nuclear resources in 3 of the 4 largest world economies led by China. The Princess of Pentacles is an imposing figure, stunningly pregnant, fecund with the possibilities of bringing the Earth back to life. A strong, carnivalesque, and shamanic presence, she carries the didgeridoo, the world's oldest instrument, whose haunting primal sound heals the land and its people with the power of breath. She is dressed like a magician with her cape. Her red shoes lay discarded at her feet. They pay homage to Bowie's Let's Dance. She doesn't wear them because she doesn't want to draw attention to her high economic status and power, preferring to go barefoot, earthbound. She is deeply in tune with the principle of Gaia, which regards the Earth as a self-regulating organism. Its elements of air, oceans, and land surface form a complex, interrelated system that supports life. She values all of life and its rich diversity and believes her patient work, ingeniously planned and executed, will lead to sustainable change in the future and carrying forth the wisdom of her ancestors and rebirthing it with the complex information age. Many in the previous generation sadly lost their way, bewitched by media and consumerist lifestyle. She painfully sees the fruitlessness of that path, barren, polluting, devoid of the nourishment so many yearn to fill themselves up with. Practical and ambitious, she is drawn to those who share her vision and industrious nature, often collaborating brilliantly to achieve long-term aims. The Princess of Pentacles invites us to consider how we are making solid, grounded foundations and preparations for what we ultimately value and hope to achieve in life. It suggests that we have much in abundance already and not to squander precious resources frivolously. She reminds us to seed, plant, and grow our vision, one step at a time. So the Princess of Pentacles, the airy part of Earth, being observant and resourceful, looking to the little details and enjoying collaboration. Very Virgo moon energy. It's creative and fun. Sagittarius, like let's dance, Mercury and Sun in Sagittarius, but at the same time, it's very grounded, very practical, right? Very magical. Venus and Scorpio. So, but it's doing so out of the love of transformation, right? Transformation from the old into the new paradigm. And I do find it rather synchronistic that we just had a coronal mass ejection, and there's straight up coronal mass ejections on the background there. So, let's go ahead and get a clarifier from Dreams of Gaia. Tell me where you're watching from. I'm always fascinated by that. So, we've got a card. It is the Five of Water. Five of Water. I passed it. Five of Water. Keyword: loss, betrayal, fear, doubt, hopelessness, isolation, self-pity, blame. With the moon in Virgo, it's the Hermit card, right? Hermit energy. So it's like, well, maybe we are isolated and feeling alone. Key phrases: feeling alone and isolated, without hope, consumed by fears and doubts, unable to see a way forward, trapped in the moment, feeling angry and betrayed, mourning your loss and playing the victim. The Five of Water represents feelings of fear, doubt, and hopelessness that can cloud our minds and minds and hearts and give rise to confusion, misunderstanding, and anger. And the Gene Key we read today was talking about confusion, Haley, as you know. These emotions are often born of our own, the 64th Gene Key, might I add. These emotions are often born of our own pain or insecurities and can cloud our ability to see the love that surrounds us all. All too often we experience a moment of great hurt or loss. We can feel alone, as if no one could possibly understand the depth of anguish we are feeling. Whether it be the end of a marriage or a friendship, the death of a loved one, or a battle with mental illness, we could sometimes find ourselves weighed down by pain and suffering and blind to the beauty and love that surrounds us. Venus in Scorpio, kind of shadow. It's like, woe is me. No one understands me. I'm all alone. This pain is too much to bear. Loss of and Neptune and Pisces can attribute. You can get lost in the in delusions of isolate. Nightmares basically. Loss of any kind causes us to experience a range of emotions, including sadness, fear, confusion, guilt, regret, anger, and betrayal. Sometimes we can even experience a complete absence of emotion, what Haley calls void days. She's like, I'm just not feeling anything, right? To think of the future serves only to add to the burden of sorrow, because all hope can seem gone. The Five of Water is a challenging card because it is not one that offers any real comfort. Loss is something we all experience, and if we are already vulnerable and sensitive to hurt, it can be overwhelming. The death of a loved one, the loss of a friend, being betrayed by someone we trusted and loved, there are no words of comfort that will lessen the pain we feel. The Five of Water symbolizes the need to allow yourself to work through your grief and to take as much time as you need. Allow the emotions to flow and flow along with them, but not to the extent that they threaten to overwhelm you or have you lashing out at others. Mars and Aries, Venus and Scorpio, you don't want to be lashing out at others. You need to remember that you have people around you who love you. Look up. While you may feel alone, you are not. And there's this kind of spiritual truth, Sagittarius, Mercury, and Sun, where it's like, look up to see the target beyond this situation right now. There are people around you who have also experienced loss. They know, they understand. Allow them to be there for you in your time of need. So I think it's talking about flowing and moving on. Even in this card, we're seeing like the remnants of an old nuclear cooling tower or whatever, and it's like she's flowing as a vine beanstalk going towards the sun, the illumination, right? And it doesn't mean that this doesn't exist, right? We have to grieve the mistakes we've made in the past, technologically, ecologically, politically, personally, spiritually, whatever, right? Sin is missing the mark. Sagittarius Sun and Mercury is trying to hit the target. It's like the whole idea of Jewish/Christian/Muslim or whatever sin. The Abrahamic religions talk about sin, and that's missing the mark, right? And we do miss it. but it's all good. It's causally necessary, it seems. So don't just get hung up on the fact that we've fucked up. Like try to build towards the new. But you have to have a period of grief. You might feel isolated, alone. Um, right now, especially with COVID, people are isolated literally and going through that process. So meditation, I highly suggest. Just getting right in your body, and a lot can come from that. Diet, exercising to the degree you can, and not putting up limits, right? Thinking of it as an act of service, not just like, oh, I'm gonna get a six pack and do a bunch of crunches. Like that's one motivator. I mean, more if you're like an Aries or a Leo or something, but um, think of it more Virgo moon. Like, how can I be most emotionally satisfied? Acting of service, doing unto others. Linear thinking, the Zeta Reticuli, number 32. And it's funny because it's like, even with the coronal mass ejection that I'm talking about, that where I'm like, oh, it happened yesterday and it's going to take a while because it's like a million miles away. It's going to take a while to hit us. And when it does, that time, that perspective, that's linear thinking, right? Even saying like we're evolving, we're progressing. This is linear thinking. All is present at some level simultaneously, holographically. So there's that. So Zeta Reticuli 32, linear thinking past timeline. When beings stop themselves from feeling emotion, especially fear, and resort to only logic to navigate through reality, reality becomes very limited. So this is almost the counter to the five of water, where it's like, grieve and be emotional, but don't be overwhelmed with emotion. And this is saying think and, use, reason in your brain, but don't just be so confined to it that you can, kill uh, imagination and creativity and open-mindedness, because usually that's fear that's making you do that. Is this even whatever? Oh wow, that's a lot brighter. It's too bright. Hopefully y'all can see that though. All right, so let me start over. When beings stop themselves from feeling emotion, especially fear, and resort to only logic to navigate through reality, reality becomes very limited. New ideas that don't conform to the formula of linear thinking are rejected without exploration. This card recommends that you look at your patterns of limited thinking and see how they restrict the experiences you have in life. Let yourself begin to think outside of the box and explore new ideas that previously seemed impossible. The Zetas had to do this in order to heal their species, and most likely so will humans. Why not start now? I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll start that in the new year, New Year's resolution. It's like, but what better time than now? There only now exists. If you have not read the cards for text for the cards 30 and 31, please do so, because this card can be more deeply understood by understanding the Zeta struggles described in those cards. I'm not going to do that. But basically, the titles are rejecting emotion and survival fears, right? Even what I'm talking about is like, oh my gosh, what if the internet goes out? Oh my gosh, what if we all have to take a vaccine forcibly and all this kind of stuff? This card refers to a specific aspect of the Zeta's struggles of this era. Because the Zetas rejected emotions and intuition, which are holographic in nature, the only process they had left in which to organize reality was that of logic and thought, which are very linear in nature. Remember, the Zetas species originally came from the Vega colonies, and the seeds of this challenge can be seen in the Vega in the card 26, Vega card 26, which this challenge began. When a person or a society resorts primarily to linear thinking to navigate reality, it creates a very rigid box of perception that creates limitations. That's why the Princess of Pentacles is very creative and genius, adaptive, right? Practical, like reasonable, logical, but like not limited. This is why because it's the page energy, the princess. It's playful, it's fun, it's creative, it's flexible. This is why the Zetas could not see a way out of the box of the situation they created that nearly destroyed their species. Humans have the same challenge on Earth right now, and it is vital that we somehow reconnect with our intuition and emotions in order to navigate away from the same fate that befell the Zetas. If this card comes up in your reading, it's challenging you to examine how your own linear thinking keeps you stuck. How can you use your mind and your intuition heart to navigate your reality? So the Princess of Pentacles, the mind and the practical mind, as well as the Five of Water, the emotions, both in simultaneity. How can you use them to your advantage of positive polarity to get unstuck? How can you use your mind and your intuition heart to navigate reality? How can you learn to validate both? Doing so will be a powerful next step in your personal evolution. And I do think that we're all kind of going through this situation in which we're learning from the past, and if the more playful we are about it, the less overwhelmed we might be, though there's real emotions to process, right? And there's real health and practicality and decisions, linear thinking, right? There's real like logic to be applied now, a new type of logic. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's get an animal card, shall we? We have number 15, the Snow Leopard, the Watcher. I love this card. It's actually the booklet, main art. Sometimes all we have to do is observe our breath, observe our, bodies. Meditation is watching. Snow Leopard 15, the Watcher. Take the high road, right? Be ethical, be practical. Very Princess of Pentacles energy. It's like, I'm going to do the right thing because it's of service to the whole. Take the high road. Do not sink to the level of low vibration. That's fear. Observe the situation closely before acting. Venus in Scorpio. Being silent is an option. Ethics is the number one concern. It is best not to continually draw attention to yourself just for the sake of filling up your ego. Like the girl in the Princess of Pentacles, she took off her shoes that are nice as fuck because she doesn't want to bring attention to herself. A little mystery is a good thing. Mythos, and then even like a little mystery goes beyond linear thinking, right? There's magic still, so don't think it's all like plottable. It's not all logical. Like there's yin and yang. Mythos. In the valley surrounded by high rocky mountains, and I live in the Rocky Mountains, lived the people. In the high passes within the rocks between the sky and the land, above the flapping of the prayer flags, lived the spirits of the mountains. Some of these spirits were bodhisattvas, the compassionate energies that help people take the more right and ethical path. These spirits took and that's very much what the Princess of Pentacles was talking about, where it's like, let's like be ecologically aware, let's like be healthy and help each other and collaborate and do this creatively. Like bodhisattvas, like not just me, like all of us together. Let's elevate together. Some of these spirits were bodhisattvas, the compassionate energies that help people take the more right and ethical path. These spirits took the form of the most elusive and beautiful creature that lived among the high places, the snow leopard. The snow leopards watched the people, yet were very rarely seen themselves. Their paw prints might have been occasionally found on a ridge overlooking the valley, but they were not spotted. These watchers of the skies rewarded those who helped others. It was said, too, that the snow leopards, ever observing, would place obstacles in the path of those who did evil in order for them to realize their mistakes and change. And if something was not right, the leopards would wail mournfully for all to hear. It's on page 64, which is the gene key I read with Haley this morning. The animal. To say spotting a snow leopard is difficult is an understatement. These mysterious animals live high in the most remote mountainous areas of the Himalayas, Russia, Mongolia, and western China, and it is only recently with the advent of sophisticated motion sensor cameras that we have been able to see decent photographs of these animals in the wild. A member of the Panthera genus, snow leopards are uniquely adapted to a cold, harsh environment through having small, rounded ears to keep the heat in, lustrous, multi-layered fur, and a thick tail filled with fat that they wrap around their face and body when they sleep to keep the wind out. They have incredibly large paws for their size, covered in thick fur, which allow them to walk more easily on soft snow without sinking. Snow leopards do not roar like lions, but instead vocalize in mews, chuffs, and most notably a wailing sound that echoes for long distances. The magic. Snow leopard magic is all about the power of being the silent watcher. Western society is an extroverted one with the emphasis on the individual and on being seen, yet there's much advantage to examining things quietly and observing before making decisions. Taking your time and observing a situation before you decide the next step is wise. Snow leopard magic is mysterious and ethical and can be used when you need assistance in taking the righteous path. Symbology. Eyes on prayer flags, cat in snow, leopard footprints in the snow. Status is vulnerable. So taking the righteous path, going towards the truth, even if it's not easy. Difficult rights over easy wrongs kind of thing. Sagittarius, Sun, Mercury. And for practical health reasons, right? Moon in Virgo. So the Watcher, very resonant card there. Let's go ahead and get... I actually have a podcast this morning in a half an hour. Raphael has scheduled somebody on much earlier. Usually it's at midnight. This is going to be at 6 p.m. his time, so 6 hours earlier than normal, and on a Tuesday, which we normally don't have. But this guy is basically like a Professor Xavier / Dumbledore of like a magical school or something, and that should be interesting. Joseph Baez. This is some Virgo, Moon, Scorpio, Venus shit. Get ready. I've read this guy before, and it's like, oh my. He's a German. He's dead. 1986 is when he died. But can I get a good enough? All right. Joseph Bayes claimed that as a World War II fighter bomber, he crashed in the Crimean Mountains, the mountains of the snow leopard, where they were watching. Right. There's a resonator. Where nomadic Tartary, possibly Tartarians, covered his freezing body in animal fat and felt that what would become his trademark materials. I just watched Midsummer, a mashup of that and Tool's Fear Inoculum by David Charles Plate last night because I want to get him on the podcast and he said to watch that. And they do very similar kind of pagan things. But very Virgo, very practical, using the materials around you, the earth materials, the fur, the pelt, the fat, to survive. Bayes made fabricating personal history into an art form and believed that each person is an artist contributing to humanity's Gesamtkunstwerk, the total work of art. This is a big Sagittarius truth. Sun and Mercury in Sag, that is also very practical. Moon in Virgo. By the 1970s, his unorthodox approach to academics and chauvinistic overtures won a dismissal from his professorship and a punch in the face from a student. So Mars in Aries, Venus in Scorpio, energy there. An ambulance was not called until 1974, however, when it took Bayes to inhabit a room with a wild coyote for the performance work I Like America and America Likes Me. Interesting title. So, you also contribute to humanity's Gesamtkunstwerk. I can't speak German. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. The great work of humanity. You are contributing to it, right? And the Princess of Pentacles is saying, have fun and play as you do the work, right? The work is there. We're going to have to, refashion society, monetary systems, political systems, everything, right? Belief structures, material reality, spiritual reality, right? We're doing this work. We're going from the wreckage of the old into the new, right? But it takes time, it takes effort. We might even feel emotionally overwhelmed sometimes with it and be like, oh my gosh, there's no hope. We're never going to fix this problem. Don't think you're alone in feeling that way. Reach out to others and try to console each other. This is what meditation also helps and spirituality helps with. Just because you don't see the end doesn't. You should work in a linear way and be like, I'm trucking, Virgo moon, practical, but also realize miracles happen. Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius. Epiphanies happen. Crazy magic happens. High magic, right? So we're moving towards higher and higher frequencies. It might be overwhelming sometimes. Don't get stuck in the details, linearly speaking, because punctuation events happen. I mean, dinosaurs were wiped out and mammals came to prominence. Same thing might happen to us, whatever. Just observe. Just be present and ever watchful, right? And as Joseph Bayes is saying, you also contribute to the Gesamtkunstwerk of humanity. So everything you do, whether it's diet, exercise, meditation, saying a kind word, jamming on your guitar and playing tarot cards, whatever, it all contributes. And never think you want to refine it and make sure you're not being superfluous and stuff and wasteful, right? But know that everything you do works towards the holographic whole. It's just that simple. So the stone we're getting, hopefully y'all can see this, and you could quantumly entangle with this. Sodalite, what it is, friend to the chronic meditator. Sodalite, known by some as poor man's lapis, is a salty, deep blue stone speckled and striated and with white calcite inclusions. Who needs it? Planners, producers, Virgos, right? And it's not terribly, linear thinking. Whoa, washed out. Linear thinking and the Princess of Pentacles is very Virgoan, I was saying, right? When we're making plans and we're being too A-type, when we're too detail-oriented, this is saying sodalite is helpful, right? Planners, producers, Virgos need it. People who are too organized, essentially. Where to put it? Wherever you do your best non-thinking. When to use it? When you have a big decision to make. When you're 99% finished with a project but can't get your head around the last 1%. Don't. Seriously. Give up. Meditate with sodalite. Abandon solutions. This is the Watcher card. Just observe. Abandon solution-oriented thinking. Surrender to your intuition. That's the 5 of water. Surrender to that. The Princess of Pentacles is all about solution-oriented thinking. Sometimes, the best plans come randomly, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. So sometimes just backing off and giving it some space to breathe really is the way to go. Surrender to your intuition and watch your problem get solved from someplace much deeper. This is deep in your intuition. Very Venus in Scorpio energy being represented there. So though we are in the world, right? She's still playful. She's like, I'm gonna dance. That's surrendering to the intuition. She's not just like, well, I'm gonna get a ladder and scaffold up. I'm gonna use life itself to get out of here. The beanstalk, right? Very different than maybe what one would logically think, linear thinking think. It's a very kind of playful way around it. Don't get overwhelmed in your emotions, but do use your heart and your intuitions, right? Don't get overwhelmed with your thinking, linear thinking, but do use your brain at some levels. Figure out how to balance that, right? Hit me up for reading. I can tell you based off your chart or pull cards on like where your struggle is with that, because sometimes we can't see stuff. His eyes are looking kind of intently. Sometimes we don't see ourselves as we actually are. We see ourselves as we think we are or feel we are, and that's not how we are. The Watcher, though, is saying to observe. You are part of the great work of humanity, so never give up hope. You've signed up to be here now during these times for more than just watching Netflix and eating pizza, or looking at porn and drinking booze. Like, you can do these things if you want. I'm not even. It's whatever. It's your trip, but we're here to do a lot more than just be passive consumers. And in order to get into a place of knowing what that might be, deepen your intuition. Do meditation. Do healthy things. Vision boards. Like, be like, what's outside of this silo? What am I going to do out there? And work consistently towards getting out, but ultimately have a plan, loosely, intuitively influenced, about what happens on the other side of this. So let's play some music. Hopefully, you enjoy. So we have the Princess of Pentacles with the Five of Water as the clarifier. So, it's about playful planning that's in tune with your emotions, essentially. My strap just came off. I'm glad I caught my guitar. That could have been a train wreck. So, let's go ahead and play. So it's playful, but it's also moody and aware of the practical nature of reality. It's like, I've got to do healthy, good things. I've got to move towards truth, but I want to do it in such a way that's kind of groovy. Maybe is the best way to put it. She's groovy. She's hip. She's shamanic. She's a clown, right? But she's still doing stuff within a practical reality. Hopefully she's processing her grief and her, she might be like, I'm stuck in here, this well, and I've got to wait till the beanstalk gets up to climb out of here. That can be very emotionally overwhelming. Maybe she's stuck in linear thinking, right? Where it's like, how long is this going to take? Well, she can sit there and daydream and play with the animals and the plants inside here, dance, right? Kind of groove, and transmute those emotions, which are valid, and not get stuck in either linear thinking or emotionality. Just observing the situation. Sometimes, and everyone's different. That's why you should hit me up for a reading, based off your chart, based off of a lot of things. But everyone's different. So how we need to observe who we are and how we operate in order to best effectively move forward in a playful, fun, and an abundant way that's emotionally and mentally balanced, right? Observe well, as they say. Know that you're contributing to humanity's Gesamtkunstwerk, or great work, basically. And she has, a ladder taking her out essentially through the beanstalk into higher planes. Like, we can find the ways out, but we have to kind of go into our intuitions to do that, which is beyond emotion, which is beyond mind, right? Deepen your intuition with sodalite. So get into a place of magic, and magic will happen. But if all you do is say, well, A plus B equals C, and that's all there is, and that's all I can see to it, it's like, well, yeah, like Z squared divided by X to the, whatever power equals A plus B, so you can get there another way. It might prove to be helpful. Got to go to this podcast. It's atypically timed, so I got to jump. But hit me up for a reading. I love giving them. People love getting them. 5 stars only. So I'm not fucking around. So if you ever want real good advice, dare I say, holler at me. Scope the podcast. We've been having some great episodes lately, and great ones also continue to be scheduled. And also just, try to get into your intuition and out of your head, but use your mind, capital M, and get out of your moodiness, but get into your heart and your emotions in an intuitive way. So you see the kind of paradox built there. Holler at me if you want. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I will catch you on the flip side. Adios.